We are only a couple days away from the college football playoff semifinals. We got the Rose Bowl, we got the Sugar Bowl, we got four teams. It'll come down to two. Who's going to be the champion? Let's go ahead and look at the Rose Bowl. Let's get into it. What is going on, everybody? Christian Ballard here, Ballard Sports Media, coming at you with my preview and prediction video here for the 2020-2021 Rose Bowl. I guess the 2021 Rose Bowl, I mean, it's taking place in 2021, and can you believe, man, I'm recording this on the 29th of December, 30th, 31, 3 days until the playoff semi-finals. But more importantly, and I think we can all agree to this, yes, we're looking forward to these semifinals. We always look forward to the playoffs. We always look, as football fans, but just look at the country right now. Look at the world. This year that is 2020, this decade, this century, whatever, it's been long. It's been crazy, but it's almost over. So I'm not going to get too far into this video or really on my channel with the virus and all that crap, but let's just be honest. We've been waiting for this year to just be over because, be real, it just sucks. So, I mean, that's all I'll say about that. I'm glad it's finally over here in a couple days. But let's go ahead and look at Bama and Notre Dame in this year's Rose Bowl. All right, everybody, let's go ahead and get into this video here. This is going to be a great matchup. And this year's semifinals, the Sugar Bowl and the Rose Bowl, of course, we know that, it's the Sugar Bowl and it's the Rose Bowl, right? The Rose Bowl in California, not this year. No, it's been moved from Pasadena, where it's always played, to Arlington, Texas, home of the Dallas Cowboys. This is all due to coronavirus concerns in California. Politics aside, let's just be honest, California. I mean, what else do you want to say? And this will be played on New Year's Day, January 1st, 2021, at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. I think that's normal for the Rose Bowl, right? It's normally 4 or 5 in the afternoon on the East Coast. So, and you look at this matchup, right? Here's what you have, and we'll get into the Sugar Bowl in a different video. You have number 1 versus number 4. That's how it is. Number 2 versus number 3. You have Alabama, number 1. Clemson, number 2. Ohio State 3, and Notre Dame 4. How did these teams get in the playoffs? Well, let's look back real quick. Bama did what they had to do to go undefeated and win the SEC championship game against the Florida Gators. Clemson got in, winning the ACC over Notre Dame, which came as a surprise to, I don't want to say nobody. Maybe Notre Dame fans were surprised. I don't know. I don't know who was surprised by the fact that Notre Dame lost to Clemson in this game. Probably not a whole lot of people. And let me double check here. So here's what you got. And again, Sugar Bowl in a different game. In a different video. I apologize. You have Bama, number 1. Clemson, 2. Ohio State, 3. And Notre Dame 4. And I already have given my thoughts on the number 4 spot this year. There were quite a few teams that could have made a case for that number 4 spot. I kept saying A&M, right? I hear people say Cincinnati. I'm sorry, but the group of 5 has never made the playoffs and probably will never make the playoffs, okay? This is a Power 5 playoff. Not to be disrespectful to the group of 5 team. I'm not doing that. Cincinnati's a great team. 9-0 season, undefeated, right? I'm sorry. But see, they did this. It's all about ratings, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. You want good ratings for playoff games, right? What do you expect? There's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion. So you're going to put the team in there that you feel would get the most views, right? We haven't seen Bama Notre Dame this year. We've seen Bama A&M, and it was a blowout in Tuscaloosa. So what do you expect in the playoffs? Is it going to be another blowout? Most likely. But anyway, it is what it is. We got the teams that we got. Again, Bama, Notre Dame in the Rose Bowl, Clemson and Ohio State in the Sugar Bowl. Both on New Year's Day. This upcoming Friday at, the Rose Bowl, 4 o'clock Eastern Time. And the Sugar Bowl, I believe, is 8:45 Eastern Standard Time this Friday night. I'm trying to think the last time Bama played on a Friday night. I don't know. I'm so used to either the championship on a Monday or, obviously, Saturday games. But anyway. We'll get to the Sugar Bowl in a different video. We're looking at the Rose Bowl here. So, how did these teams get here? Well, Alabama won the SEC over Florida, got in at 11-0. Notre Dame got in at 10-1. Their only loss is to Clemson in the ACC title game. And again, I'm not, there were quite a few teams I think that could have qualified for that fourth and final spot. A&M was right there. They're at number 5 or whatever in the rankings right now. Did they rob A&M? Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? Who cares? Right? Who cares? We got the 4 teams. I think it's going to be great. Whether it's A&M, whether it's Notre Dame, whoever at the 4th spot, it's going to be great. Right? So Bama wins the SEC, gets in at 11-0. Notre Dame comes into this game 10-1. Their only loss is to Clemson in the ACC title game. We know that, right? And like I just mentioned, quite a few teams could have got that 4th spot. But it is what it is. It's Notre Dame. I think we expected this, right? And you look at these two teams, they have not met since the 2012 season. In the 2012-2013 BCS championship game, Bama won that 42-14 in a blowout. You know what's weird, though? And I'll get into this. Why is it, right? Now, if you want to do it, we got Clemson and Ohio State in the Sugar Bowl, right? They met in last year's Fiesta Bowl. Again, I'll get into that in a Sugar Bowl preview video. But why is it? It doesn't matter if it was 100 years ago, right? Not that anyone bases the next upcoming matchup with teams based on the previous matchup all the time or whatever, but the last they met was 8 years ago. This is the case for these two teams here, Bama and Notre Dame. The last they met was 8 years ago, and Bama won in a blowout, so that was 8 years ago. 8 years does not determine today. I'll leave it at that. But yes, the last time these two teams met was the BCS title game. Bama won back-to-back titles in 11 and 12, those seasons. And in 2012, 2013, they won 42-14 with A.J. McCarron at quarterback over Notre Dame. All right, let's go ahead and look at the quarterback matchup. And we'll get into more of the game and break down this upcoming Rose Bowl. All right, so we got Mac Jones, Ian Book, right? I think Ian Book, if I recall, he's a senior quarterback, right? Ian Book of Notre Dame, who's really good, right? And you got Alabama's Mac Jones, the Heisman favorite. Or maybe the Heisman favorite, Smitty. Maybe it's Najee Harris. Maybe it's... Heck, give it to Saban for this awesome coaching job this year. I don't know. Give the team the Heisman. Right? Is Mac Jones the Heisman favorite? Is Smitty? I don't know. They all deserve this, right? Listen, I know there's a lot of people that hate Alabama. Or that they never lose. They're always winning. They're always right there. I don't want to see them win another championship. Can we give them credit, though, man? Let's give them some credit for this season. This has got to be the greatest. I don't know if I want to say the greatest football team, because we saw Clemson in 2018. We saw Joe Burrow last year. I think it's at least the best coaching job that Saban has ever done, and I think it is the best Bama team that we have ever seen. Now, I'll hold my breath for a little bit because we still got a couple games left to play. at the very least, won with Notre Dame, right? But you got Mac Jones, the Heisman favorite, and again, maybe it's Smitty, Najee Harris, whoever, right? He is a favorite for the Heisman, probably the favorite for the Heisman, going up against Ian Book of Notre Dame, who's not really in the Heisman race. He's got some odds on him, I think, if I'm not mistaken. You got to give him credit. He's a great leader for Notre Dame. I'm not going to sit here and troll him like, Bo Nix trolled Mac Jones and say he's a manager or anything. I don't want to do that. But, I mean, he does a great job. He's a great player. So, anyway, Mac Jones versus Ian Book. Let's go ahead and look at this year's matchup, though, right? We got the quarterbacks down, but there's more than just those guys. This should say a lot here, folks. Alabama, right now, as the line says on ESPN, and I don't know what line y'all use. I don't know if you do DraftKings or MyBookie or BetNow, whatever. I know, like, Uncle Lou or Pigskin and Pete like to do, like, BetNow or whatever, and that's fine. I don't care. I get it from ESPN. I'm not saying this is the real line, official line, but ESPN has the over-under 65.5. Notre Dame is a 19.5 point underdog, meaning that Alabama's favored by 19.5. That's crazy, man. That should say a lot. Either they really like Alabama this year, which I think is the case. I don't think they're looking at Notre Dame saying, I hate them so much, I'm going to make them a 19.5 point. I don't think it's like that. They don't hate Notre Dame. They just really love Alabama. Right? 19.5 point favorite, Alabama. 81% chance to win, leaving Notre Dame with only a 19% chance to win, right? And I'll just say that there's really no other way to put this, people. And like I just said, I mean, Alabama is the clear favorite for the championship, right? That's it. They've been the best team all season long. And I know I made that video last week about, I don't want to hear this, they're unbeatable or anything. I'm not even going to go there, right? You got Clemson right there. You got Ohio State. And heck, yes, even Notre Dame. These teams are in the playoffs, fighting for a championship, fighting to win the game that they got right now in front of them, and holding up that golden trophy on January 11th in Miami, Florida. But I think it is safe to say, and this isn't Bama bias, just look at, I mean, come on, everyone's saying it. Just admit it. Is Bama not the best team in the country this year? They got 3 Heisman contenders right now. 3 guys that could potentially win the Heisman. Only one can, but you get what I'm saying. At the very least, maybe it's down to 2. I don't know what the finalists are, all of them at least, but I mean, at some point, like, well, Najee, Smitty, Mac Jones, look at the O-line. They might not win a Heisman, but they darn sure are one of the best in the country. Landon Dickerson, who I think is out for this game, which is what I'm seeing here, right? I mean, we talk about this offense, they look great. Best Bama QB in offense ever. It looks unstoppable, right? Not saying that it is, but that's what it's looked like. The question for Alabama, right, is their defense, right? And we'll get into the whole how these teams can win type of deal here in a minute. Let's see. Okay. We know about the offense, right? Are we going to sit here? I mean, we give them so much credit. They deserve it. But what about Notre Dame? What about Ian Book? Are they underrated right now? Are we giving them enough credit? Maybe I'm not paying attention. I don't know. Maybe we need to give them a little bit more credit, right? Let's look at what they're scoring here. And I'm not going to go ahead and get into like my score prediction. Obviously, you guys know how it is. That's at the end. Points per game. 35.2 points per game for Notre Dame. Round that down to like 35. So they're scoring about, maybe on average, about 5 touchdowns a game. compared to Alabama, who's scoring about 7 touchdowns a game or whatever, scoring about 49, 50 points a game. Allowing points, Notre Dame kind of has had the edge in that. Not like they've had the edge in defense, but definitely in defensive scoring. And just, holding offenses. 18.6. You could round that up to 19, right? 19.5 for Alabama points allowed per game. You round that up, rounding and everything, round that to 20 or whatever. So it's about 19, 20 points each, right? Allowing per game. So, I just, what needs to happen, right? Bama's offense looks unstoppable, right? The question is their defense, and I'm worried. And the only reason why I'm worried, and Bama fans could probably agree, is because, hey, how's Florida doing on you? Huh? You let them come back. They were down, or they were up, I'm sorry. They were up like 35, what was it, like 35 to 10 or something at halftime? They let them come back, and they only won by, 6 points? Whatever it was. So, I don't know. I think if you're Alabama, right? And we'll get into, again, how can these teams win? We'll get into that in a second. I think Mac Jones, and this is saying a lot, because he's getting better and better and better every week. Constantly handling defenses, just putting them on the ground. Throwing the ball deep to Smitty, to Mechie, whoever, Slade Bolden, right? Just throwing the deep ball. Just having poise in the pocket. Just going out there and being himself and being a baller. Where does Mac Jones get better right now? But has he faced a defense like Notre Dame? Right? I don't know. We'll see. The offense looks unstoppable. The question for Alabama is the defense. And let's go ahead and get into this. How does Alabama win? How does Notre Dame win? I got 3 things for Notre Dame to win, and I got 4 things for Alabama to win. Let's go ahead and look at Alabama. And these things for Notre Dame and Bama, how these teams can win, they kind of tie in together. Alabama defense, or really just in general, Alabama can win if their defense shows up and plays for 4 quarters, right? Don't give me any of that Ole Miss mishaps. Remember, it was like 63 to 48. 48 points. Everyone wanted to sit there and laugh at us. Oh, you might have won, but you gave up 48. Your defense looked like crap. You just gave penalties. And, you can't have that in this game. You got to show up and play for 4 quarters. You have got to do that. Not saying you can't give up any points, but if you let Notre Dame score a lot in the first half, and you're slowly getting back in the second half, we can't have that. Don't show up in the first half, especially this. Don't show up in the first half, Alabama defense, and then go to sleep in the locker room in the second half. You can't have that. You got to show up and play for 4 quarters in this game. That's how you got to win this game. So defense got to show up, play for 4 quarters. Mac Jones, right? And again, for the defense, 35-17 at the half against Florida, and you won 52-46. Dang, you gave up 29 points in the second half. You can't do this, man. You can't do that in this matchup. Mac Jones has got to get off to a fast start. Just be yourself, Mac. Do what you've done all year. Work with your receivers like Smitty and John Mechie. Even a guy like Slade Bolden, who hasn't gotten many reps this year, at least in game. Do what you've done all year, man. Do what you've done. Just be you. Be who you are. And go out and play. Right? I mentioned the defense. How do they show up? How do they be themselves? The secondary's got to show up. They got a couple good receivers that I've seen this year. Javon McKinley, Michael Meyer, a tight end. Two key guys that I've seen that'll go up and catch a really good ball thrown by Ian Book. They'll probably... I'm not going to sit here and act like they're a Justin Ross, or... I know he's injured for Clemson, but he's still a heck of a player. Not Amari Rodgers or nothing. He ain't no Smitty, but he's still a talented receiver, talented tight end that... Ian Book has really targeted a couple times this year. You got to go up and cover him because he will catch a football if he really wants to and go out there and make plays when he needs to. So you got to cover him. With that defensive line, man, woo, y'all have got to put some pressure on Ian Book. There are certain quarterbacks in this league, in college football, heck, even in the NFL, that their weakest moments are under pressure. And I feel like, and this isn't a knock or anything, it's not always a bad thing. Their weakest moments are under pressure, and I just have a feeling Ian Book is like that. No knock on Ian Book, no disrespect, no hatred whatsoever. But I mean, come on, compare him to Fields or Lawrence, please. Right? You got a better chance of covering Ian Book than you do Fields or Lawrence, right? You know what I mean? Christian Barmore, DJ Dale, Justin E. Boygby, guys like that. Show up. Phil Darian Mathis on the defensive line. Those guys are going to be the key guys on the defensive front for Alabama that are going to show up and got to get in Ian Book's face. Pressure him. Pressure his decision-making. How he is in the pocket. Don't let him scramble on you. You got to be fast and ready to attack in this football game. You can't be slow with it and let him extend plays on, second or third down. And that's another thing. I mean, I can't, that's another thing. Saban mentions this all the time as a struggle in a loss, right? Like, what happened in that 44-16 game with Clemson? Right? How many times am I going to bring that up, too? What did Saban say? We had a hard time getting off the field on third down. Right? On offense, we got in the red zone. We couldn't score. We get penalties. Well, defensively, we kept giving up points because we couldn't cover a guy on third down. We have penalties. Couldn't get off the field on third down stops. Please. Hold them to a field goal. That's fine. A punt. That's preferred. But you got to get off the field on third down, Alabama, and you got to play for 4 quarters if you want to win. Let's see. Mac Jones off to a fast start. Defense shows up. Basically, it comes down to Mac Jones has to get off to a fast start against a good Notre Dame defense. And on Bama, your defense has got to show up and play the whole game. Don't have one half team this matchup. So, how does Notre Dame win? I got 3 things for them. First off, and I'm sorry I'm mentioning Bama's defense, but I mean, I can't express this enough. Pray and hope, Notre Dame. This is how you win. You got to pray and hope that Bama's defense doesn't show up at all, and you can put up 30, 40 points. Along with that comes a fast start for Ian Book. That ties into it. If Bama's defense doesn't show up in the first couple drives, maybe you get the ball first to start the game, or Bama gets the ball, and maybe they score, and then you're out there to try to put 7 on the board and tie it up. You're hoping that maybe you throw off Alabama's defensive line and secondary and guys like Surtain or whoever. You're throwing them off. Throw them off guard. You got to pray and hope that they don't show up, right? And again, a fast start for Ian Book. That kind of ties in with that, right? If Bama's defense doesn't show up to begin with, that's a good fast start for Ian Book. Throwing balls downfield, right? Moving the football down the field, extending plays, And their defense, Notre Dame, which has been great this year, defense needs to show up and pressure Mac Jones's decision-making and contain the run game with Najee Harris, man. If you can hold Najee Harris to under, pick a number, I don't know. he doesn't. I'm not going to sit here and say he never gets the football, but let's be honest, Alabama does like to throw the ball more. But if you're running the ball with Najee Harris, hold him under like 120, 100 point rushing yards or something like that. You know what I mean? So let's see. Bama wins. Their defense shows up. Mac Jones is off to a fast start. Gets it going. Work with tempo with your receivers like John Mechie, Devontae Smith, Slay Bolden. Even a guy like him. Again, defense shows up. Pressures Ian Book. Gets off to a great start and plays the whole game. Notre Dame wins. A fast start for Ian Book. Defense showing up and getting in Mac Jones's face and showing him something he ain't ever seen this year. Show him the defense he ain't faced. You got to do that. And you also, again, pray and hope that Bama's defense doesn't show up at all. So that's how these teams win. With that being said, people, I'll go ahead and give my final score prediction. I really don't have much else to say other than Bama needs defense in this game if they want to win. And the same is said for Notre Dame. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and give my prediction for the 2020 Rose Bowl semifinal game with Bama and Notre Dame. I'm going to say Alabama wins it 45-24. I think it's going to be a good game. It won't be super close, I don't think. I really think Bama wins this. That's 3 touchdowns right there, 45-24. That's like 21 points right there. I just have a feeling that their defense will show up at some point in this game. It might be slow at first. Maybe it shows up in the second half, gets it together after halftime. Maybe they slow down a bit and, maybe they're making Ian Book look pedestrian in the first half. And then maybe they slow down and he does put up some points, but maybe it's not enough. I don't know. But maybe 45-24 Alabama wins this Rose Bowl semifinal. And if that's the case, regardless of score, if they win, if they win, they win. And they punch their ticket to Miami for the national championship. Anyway, that's it for this preview video, man. I'm excited for this semifinal. Obviously want to hear from you guys down below in the comments section. What are your score predictions? Who you got winning? Who do you want to win? There's a difference, right? Don't be biased here. I want to actually hear from you guys. Who do you want to win? But who do you think will win? I want Bama to win. I think they'll win. Do I think Notre Dame can win? Absolutely. I just pointed out. They got to hope and pray that Bama does not have a defense in this game. I have a feeling it will show up, though. The question is, will it play for 4 quarters? And we will see. So, again, 45-24, my final score prediction for the 2021 Rose Bowl game, which has been moved to Dallas, Texas. So, anyway, love all you guys. Appreciate you so much for watching. Hope y'all had a great Christmas. We got New Year's coming up, obviously, in a couple days with these semifinals. I'll do a preview video for the All-State Sugar Bowl with Clemson and Ohio State, but I already got it in for Bama and Notre Dame. Appreciate you guys so much for watching and tuning in. Like, comment, and subscribe. All that good stuff for more sports content to Ballard Sports Media. And I will see you guys next time. Until then, Ballard Sports Media is checking out. Y'all have a great day. Love you guys. Roll Tide.